Hello and welcome back to Eleanor's Restoration. We're now on video 4. It's been a few weeks since I've had my last entry. Just been busy with other cars, keeping them working at the moment. So since I last spoke to you, I've added acid etch primer along to all the areas that the floor is going to be attached to. What I'm still going to need to do is address this area here. It's not the best with light, unfortunately. So I'm going to need to take the screws off here, which is, as you can see, they're fairly corroded on this side. I'm not too fussed about the screws because I'm going to get a new kit for the rear subframe anyway, but once I can get that off it'll be easier to do just now while the floor's not in. So I'm going to look at that today. Since I last spoke to you, I've also, you can see, welded on the reinforcement plate for the seat belt. Acid etch primed that. I'm not too fussed about the condition here in terms of grinding how it looks, because this is the side that's seen. As you can see, you've got penetration all the way along here, so it's solid enough for that. The weather in Scotland's been wet as usual, so what I've done is just set up on ramps in the garage so I can work from here. I've got the front two up on ramps here, got the rear on axle stands here just to allow me to get in to get the rear bolts off and the rear floor in. So that's pretty much what I'm going to start just now, is trying to get these two removed here to make it a bit easier. I have been using WD-40 to loosen them off, but it's not much use if they're rusted on the other side. And I've removed the rear wheel just for accessibility as well. So what I'm going to do to start with is just get as much of this rust off here as I can. If I can show you with the light there, it's fairly rusted on the actual bolts. I'll get into that with a wire brush as much as I can. And then I'm going to try and put some more WD-40 on, try and get it from the outside. The plan is that once I get these off, if I can leave the hole clear inside, I can then use the bolts to line up a new repair panel for here, depending on how much I need to put on. So the best way I've found doing these to stop snapping them, which is very easy on the Mini, is, if you've tried you'll find, is just using, got a socket set in here. If you basically just use a wrench, it's not the best to try and do that. You're not getting as much leverage on, so I just use a bar like this one I've got here, attach it to the end. It just does it a lot slower and puts less pressure on the bolt, and even the rustiest bolts, which is the one I was worried about at the bottom here, has started turning. If I can get that off without snapping it, it just saves a whole lot of hassle. So, and that applies just to anything. If you've got a bolt that feels like it's going to snap under tension, just basically attach something with leverage and it takes it a whole lot easier. So once I've got that loosened off a bit, you'll find that the nut on the inside here starts to turn. Normally I would basically put a same size screwdriver here and counteract it, but as you've seen, they were so rusty we couldn't get anything to fit, so I've used the vice grips here, held it at one side, and basically what I've done is just turned very slowly with the leverage. Worst case scenario, I could have cut the bolt out, but if I can avoid cutting, I'll do that at any time. And I have to say, it would have been a lot harder had there been a floor in the way. It's made it very easy for myself. So another quick turn and that should be out for the bottom one at least. So as you can see, it just comes out, and then been in there I believe probably since 1990, since the car was made, but then that leaves that bit clear on this side. Just have to do the top bit the same, and the good thing about that is that it is leaving it in place without disturbing the subframe, which means when I put the new heel board on, it'll line up perfectly with these two holes and I'll have a reference point. So now I'm just going to try the top, and hopefully the top will be the same resolution. Right, so that's both the bolts now out. As you can see, if the bolts come out, then pretty much you can get any bolts out. They're pretty nasty. It just means that this is now free. I'll take it around to the other side. Again, it now gives a reference point for the new heel board to put in. I think what I might do is just put half a side at a time, same as what I've done with the floor. And you can see the only thing holding this on now is obviously if I cut up this section here, it's attached to the underside of the seat. What I'll do is I'll grind away this paint, drill out the spot welds, remove that, and then it'll just be a case of welding a new one in. You can see from the underside here it's very tight, but that's up between the subframe and the rear, so it is quite rusty up there. I think I'd feel a lot better replacing that, and it will be easier while the floor's out. What I'm planning on doing next, I'm going to get the floor better fitted. At the moment it still needs trim to fit along the tunnel there. What I'm going to need to try and do is clamp up as much as I can. I've got Glico clamps to attach sheet to sheet, so I can see how that works a bit better. I'll come back to you once I've got the floor and show you how I'm going to try and do that. So in addition to what I said before, what I'm going to do is attach the back bit of the floor to the heel board there, and the front part of the floor to the toe board there. If I can get a nice tight fit, that'll give me a closer tight fit here, so I can trim it to an exact size. What I'm going to use is these clips called Glico grips. They push through the metal, attaching it, keeping a tight fit here. These are the pliers used for these. The tool I'm going to use, air tool, to get the flange edges here is this. It's basically a tool that compresses like that, shaping the metal. It makes a better fit, a cleaner fit. It's going to be under carpet, but I would rather it looked nice than just welded over the top and there's a lump there. The other end of this is, you can see there is a punches the hole through steel. So what I need to do here is I'm going to go along the edge, you can see here. It's quite a slow procedure, but it's good once it's done in the end. So you can see it's fairly straightforward tool. All it does is puts a flange on the edge there. You do the same to this side here, and then it fits in a better fit. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the fit we get from that. So now that two bits are both done here, you can see it's obviously on scrap metal here, so it's just roughly cut. but you can see once it attaches and it's clamped and welded together, it's going to give a smoother finish across here. So what I'm going to do here is attach these with these clips here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill 2 holes in here. This is a 1/8 of an inch, so the drill size I'm going to drill is a 3mm. And to know where I'm going to do it, what I'm looking for is this. I'm just doing it the same way I'm going to do it in the car here, but if I can do possibly one here, and possibly one in the middle and one here, then if I can punch a few holes that I'm going to use to spot weld here and here, then that gives me a reference. I've drilled the 3 holes as I said, through both sheets of metal. I've removed that at the moment because what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch holes here and here, just as an example of what the spot welds will be. You can always drill bigger holes, it just depends on the preference. But I'll show you this this tool working here. It's very straightforward. Put it over roughly where you want the hole, and as you can see it's a fairly decent sized hole. When I'm doing this on the car, I'll just do the other one there. Yep, so when I'm doing this on the car, what I might do is put a slightly deeper drill hole, either to make it bigger or put it slightly in just to countersink it, so that the MIG weld just makes it a bit neater basically. So I've got that there. What I'll do, show you how these Glico grips work. They're really quite good and not too expensive to buy. If you're using sheet metal, they're definitely worth it. So if I can just line it up here, it'll probably be easier to put it in the vise. I'll put that in the vise for you. So in the vise, you can see the holes go through. Take the clip here, squeeze it, as you can see the end comes out there, pushes through, and again it's a lot easier when you've got 2 hands, I have to say. Clip goes through, see how it holds it in place at the back there. Another clip. So getting through the centre one, it's quite a tight fit, but obviously if it wasn't then it wouldn't grip on the other side. So again, the clip comes through to come out. If I could just loosen this off to put the 3rd one in. So that's the 3 grips in place. Very good way of holding it. It's, you know, it's not going anywhere. Gives you a tight fit on both sides. The holes punched here are obviously where I would plug weld there and there. It's obviously a small scale, it's just to show how it works on this. But bit more fiddly on the car, bit more metal to bend into place. But the same principles, and that holds it in place. And the good thing with that, as opposed to pop rivets or anything else, it's temporary, so it comes off and it can be reused again and again and again, just by pulling that. You can see I can nearly do it with one hand. There you go, it just comes straight out like that. So I would quite recommend this, well worth the money. Just a video to show you the clips in action here. That's, I've put 2 on the front there, 2 on the rear here, and I've put some along on the doorstep to inner sill. You can get clamps with them that clamp on the outside of there, but I found when I had the clamps on before I was tripping over them. These are a bit more tidy, so it means it's tighter fits here. So what I've done is I've weighed down the centre of the floor there, because that's the only side that isn't attached by the clips. The rest is all attached. What I've done then is take you underneath. I've just used a scribe, or in my case a small screwdriver, just to scratch along the surface. As you can see, scratched all the way along just by using that. So probably a good place to stop today. I don't know what to start cutting today. I would rather just take my time with it, so I'm going to leave this in place just now. But what a difference it makes having new metal, you know. It just makes you smile seeing it and seeing it getting back to where it should be. So I'm going to leave that video there, but again, thanks for watching, and it'll not be too long before I bring the next video for you. Thank you, bye.